Welcome to the Your Business on Purpose podcast, the ultimate resource for women business owners looking to confidently navigate their entrepreneurial journey while upholding their principles. I'm Dawnette Palmore, your host and fellow entrepreneur. Join me as we immerse ourselves in illuminating conversations with accomplished experts spanning various fields across the business spectrum. Together, we'll unearth strategic insights into seizing opportunities and ensuring that your business is equipped with the essential elements aligned with your purpose and values. Have you ever ended the day exhausted, but somehow still feeling behind? You answered the emails, you replied to messages, you handled fires, you moved things around on your calendar, and you stayed busy all day long. But the work that actually grows your business, the vision work, the strategy, thinking time, the deep work, it never happened. And so for many business owners, especially women carrying the weight of leadership, family, clients, teams, and expectations, productivity has become survival mode disguised as success. Today's conversation is going to challenge the way you think about productivity completely, because maybe the answer isn't another app, another planner, another color-coded system. Maybe the real question is, why are you spending your most valuable energy or work that shouldn't even belong to you anymore? If you've ever felt mentally overloaded, consistently interrupted, or like your business owns your day instead of supporting your life, this episode is for you. So make sure you stay tuned. Welcome back to Your Business on Purpose podcast, the podcast where we help entrepreneurs build businesses that support their life instead of draining it. I'm your host, Dawnette Palmore, Profit and Protection CFO, money coach, and founder of Your Money on Purpose. Today's guest is Claire Giovino, co-founder and CEO of Inbox Done, a company that helps leaders reclaim their time through executive assistant support and intentional systems. Claire built Inbox Done around a powerful idea. Most leaders do not need better productivity tools. They need to design their perfect day and remove the work that no longer belongs on their plate. She has helped entrepreneurs, attorneys, real estate professionals, executives, and leaders across multiple industries protect their most focused hours by delegating inbox management and creating systems that actually support growth instead of chaos. We're also diving into something incredibly relevant right now, the balance between AI and human support. Claire helps leaders understand where AI can improve efficiency and where human judgment, emotional intelligence, and decision-making still matter deeply. This conversation is going to help you rethink productivity, delegation, leadership, and what it really means to protect your energy as a business owner. Claire, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited for our conversation.
Me too, absolutely, because I think what the introduction was so much of what women business owners are feeling. And we're told, oh, you need to time block, you need to time this, you need to app this and app that. And I don't feel like it's working because other stuff happens. And I think you have the answer for us, Claire. So let's just dive into it. I think so many business owners feel busy all day long, right? But we still feel behind. I have my list all around me that you guys can't see of my Post-it notes, my to-dos list. Why do you think traditional productivity advice is failing entrepreneurs?
Well, I'll start by saying I have an answer. I don't know if it's the answer. So try everything on and see what works and leave the rest. But I think a lot of it's failing because we've never been more inundated by the options. We've never had more tools to choose from. I see a lot of shiny object syndrome in entrepreneurship where it looks like the newest software, the newest AI is going to fix all of our problems. And the more options we get, the better results I see with going back to the basics, keeping that tech stack really lean, and then very intentionally hiring when you're ready to delegate. When you've reached that point in your business. I think you mentioned feeling busy all day long and then still feeling like you haven't moved the needle or haven't made a dent. It's often, if we're looking at the inbox, because we act like we're at the mercy of what comes into it. Someone decides to email us, and now it's been added to our to-do list because we treat our inboxes like to-do lists, and we don't have to do that. And so starting with, yes, delegation, but also elimination. What can we just decide? Nope, this doesn't make it through my filter of what's important for me and my goals and my business's growth. You don't have to answer everything that comes in. And then for the opportunities, the things that you do want to nurture and the leads you do want want to jump on? Where can you bring in delegation so that a little bit of it is off of your workload? But I know for business owners, it's important to find when that time comes. When do you have the budget to buy back some of your time, especially when we're used to wearing all of the hats ourselves? So I think there's this idea of sneaky procrastination that I see a lot with our clients, of feeling very busy and feeling like you're being productive. But then to your point, often you're doing a lot of the busy work that isn't the most important thing. And for business owners, I see the most important thing often being things like sales, or checking in with your clients to see where you can add more value and how they're doing, or launching the next product, just shipping, or finishing that book, which you can then use as a business card. Those are the things I see as like the really high value tasks that we often procrastinate on, but look very busy answering email and filling our calendar.
That is so true. And just so maybe you'll be proud of me, I've unsubscribed from a lot of emails.
Amazing.
Like I have not even read it, like just unsubscribe from it. It's one less thing in my inbox. Why do you think entrepreneurs, business owners are so like, we got to get that email, we have to answer this email? Why do you think they're so like, I don't know what the word is, almost like a slave to it?
I think because we often mistake urgent and important. And there's the climate we live in is maximize, optimize, jump on every opportunity. And you do want to do that. Timing does matter, especially in things like retention, but not as much needs your immediate attention as you think. Very little actually does. And so if you're bringing in help and you're bringing in an assistant and looking to delegate, there might be a little bit of a training period, for lack of a better word, where you're training your customers or your clients of when they can expect to hear from you. And if they're used to hearing from you within the hour, then okay, we need a little bit of transition time to get them used to within 24 hours. But people will adapt to the level of access you allow them to have of you.
I agree with that 100%. And I have really worked on like my weekends. I do not deal with clients. Like it's my weekends. I don't see clients. I don't talk to clients. And unless it's an emergency for them, I'm not going to answer a text message either. And it's so funny because I was having a conversation with my husband. I'm like, stop answering people. That's why they text you, why they call you, because you answer after hours. Like you have to stop. You have to shut down. So I believe the saying that you train people how to treat you, how to behave with you, very much so. And if you don't like it or if it's exhausting, you have the power to change it. Just as you said, like, okay, well, this is our new policy and procedure. It's going to be a 24-hour or whatever it is that you decide to do. Why do you think this is something well, let me ask you this first. Do you feel like the people you work with, they don't want to let this go? Like they have this attachment to it? She's shaking her head. Yes. And why do you feel like, what do you think that is?
I think as business owners, our businesses are often like our babies, and hopefully the goal is that they grow more independent and need us less as the business grows. The same as a child. When you have an infant, it needs all of your attention and time naturally. And then if you have a 10-year-old, which my business will be 10 years old next year, hopefully they're running more independently, are more self-sufficient. And so it's because we're attached to what we've built. We've dedicated so much time and energy and resources to it. Letting go of that or handing the reins over to someone else in some capacity is very scary, because what if they can't do it as well as me? What we've found over and over is, even though your lens is unique, your combination of education and upbringing and background and skills all combines to create a very unique lens for why people want to work with you specifically in your business. Your problems often aren't. So a lot of our clients think no one can answer email like I do, or no one can manage my business like I do. Often when you bring in assistance, you bring in help, they can often do it better because they're not steeped in the biases that we have about our own business. And they can often see gaps and find solutions better than us because they're coming in with fresh eyes. So no one can replace the foundation that you've built. You're the one who's worn all the hats in the beginning as you're building your business, but it doesn't mean you have to keep doing that all the time. And with the example with your husband, I see this often where it just feels really good to have all the answers too. It feels good to be needed and wanted and jump in and be the hero. I have some of that too. So you just have to look for different dopamine sources, like finishing my book also feels really good, or having these very clear, intentionally designed days where I know exactly what I do in this day and when my free time is and where the structure is versus the freedom. That feels really good. So everything's a trade-off. And of course, you don't want to hand over this precious thing that you've built to someone you don't trust. So you want to look for also assistance where that trust can be built quickly.
That is true. And I want to hit on what you said. A well-designed day, like what does that look like? Because I'm sure everybody's thinking, wow, that caught my attention. What is that?
Yeah, Annie Dillard says how we live our days is how we live our lives. So you can have your 6-month goal for your business, your 5-10 year goal, but it's all just an accumulation of days. Some of the work we do with our clients is this day design, and it starts with time management and energy management. So there's a lot of focus on time management, not as much on energy. So really encouraging our clients, and if maybe you're not ready to hire an assistant yet, you just do this today at home, do an energy audit. So look at when does your energy spike in the day and when does it dip? For me, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. are my best hours. My energy's highest. It's when I'm going to get the best work done. And then I'm going to dip around 4 p.m. And so any work I slot in around 4 or 5 p.m., it's just going to be diminishing returns. So you can start right there and design your day. I understand people have limitations and restrictions, and you may not be at the point yet where you can just do a total overhaul and design it exactly as you would, but you can make little tweaks now in that direction. And I know you coach clients with finances. And so we do this with our money and with our budgets. We do it with calories. We track our calories. We do not track time and energy enough. And it's the same thing with money. You think where your money's going until you look at the bank statement. So you think where your time's going until you actually look at your calendar or use an hourly tracking app to see how much time you're dedicating to things. So those are some first easy steps that you can do right away. And usually it only takes like 2 weeks of tracking to get all the patterns and the data that you need.
Wow, that's amazing. And it's true. We should track what we're doing, right? They even have an app for your phone so you can see how long you're on social media. And we think, oh, we're only on it like 10 or 15 minutes. And when you look, it's like 2 hours. You're just like, what was I doing? And that's the same for our day. Like, what were we doing? What did we get done? Yes, we have all these things that we need to get done, especially as women. We have those extra things that need to get done, but we're not really looking at how we're spending our time. And I think that's important.
Absolutely. And I love that we're having this conversation with you being a money coach, because money is one of the biggest and most obvious currencies. So is our attention and our energy. And we have a limited supply of it every day, and it will run out if you use it all up. And so tracking that currency just as much and just as deliberately. And then once you've tracked and you have that data and you spot those patterns, rising and falling energy, and then also looking at the tasks. What tasks that I do actually give me energy, and I am imbued with energy when I do these tasks, versus what tasks deplete me. Okay, then the depleting tasks are probably where we should start delegating, ideally. And it does tend to be that admin work for most people: the emailing, the scheduling, the data processing, the invoicing, the responding to social media inboxes and LinkedIn DMs. These are the things that usually the question we have our clients ask themselves during onboarding is, am I the person who should be doing this? So as you're embarking on this process of day design or bringing in help with an assistant, that's the question you can ask yourself constantly. Am I the best person to be doing this task?
That is a great awareness. What is draining me? What is I don't want to do, or it's taking me longer to do it because I'm just not wanting to do it. And then goes some of our time, right? Some of our good energy that we could have spent getting things done and being productive versus just dreading this thing and procrastinating on it. That's a really good point. And again, awareness is everything, right? If we're not aware, just as you said, tracking our time, writing down what we did, that's going to be a pain in the butt for the first couple weeks. But what it's going to do going forward is going to be amazing for us, but it's also going to bring us into awareness of what we are doing with our time. There's probably things where you could just chat it in an app or something like, oh, I'm doing this, start time, end time. And there's so much that we could do. And I know you also you talk a little bit about AI and integrating that, but also it can be too much, right? Like, where do we find that healthy balance? Because we could spend a ton of time learning how to use all this AI. Is it going to really help us?
And that goes back to the beginning of our conversation of this shiny object syndrome and looking at this one AI tool solving all our problems, Probably it won't. And it's amazing. And it's something to utilize and bring in where it makes sense, but selectively. And to your point, if you bring in good assistance, say before AI existed, or at the level at which it exists now, we hire people who are adaptable and can quickly learn new platforms. So it's not that much different in bringing in AI, just like we were learning the Asana and Notion and whatever your tech stack looks like. Now we can bring in the AI tools, and you don't, unless it really interests you and you're really excited about learning AI, you shouldn't have to, because to your point, you're using your precious currency of time and attention to learn all these new things. You can put that on your assistant's plate. They can learn it for you and say, here's exactly where we should use this and implement it so that I'm actually doing my job even better, because we've optimized in the areas where AI makes sense to include. And then you don't have to choose. It's best of both worlds. I actually believe, all bias aside, that as AI increases and they're like, use it, that the human insight and human nuance and discernment is going to matter even more. So we're always looking for a both and solution.
I love that. And that's really what it's about. It's not to take over the world, take over the businesses, and everybody's on Wall-E, where everybody's just relaxing on the ship, sipping their milkshakes and not doing anything. Everything's being done for them. But it's more of how can we integrate it into what we're already doing and make things more efficient and better, but there's no way. How many of us hate talking to the AI? I hate talking to AI. It drives me banana. I'm like, just get me a human. There's nothing like that human connection, as you said. So I believe that 100%. And I love what you said, like, let someone else figure out if it's a good fit for your business or not. Don't try to figure, because again, here we go, spending our precious energy and time on something that really is daunting to most of us. We've already learned a lot. We're trying to build and grow our business. Why are we throwing something else on our plate that we don't really have time for or gives us more energy?
Right. And can often produce more anxiety. I see in a lot of like, oh, I should be adopting all of these AI tools. Use what works and leave the rest. I see a good assistant. The goal is to draw out the information that lives in your head so that you're training them on your business. And once they have that foundation, they'll be able to see what slots in. Where do the AI tools make sense here? And so that's the magic of delegation, is you no longer being the bottleneck, and not the goal of delegating everything. So you just have these wide open days, and now it's, how do I fill the void? It's delegating all of the things that you don't enjoy or do deplete you, so you can do the things that you're best at.
I love that. I think maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I hired a VA to do my social media, my emailing, and all that stuff. And I thought, well, it's only going to take an hour, but it takes me longer than an hour. So I let someone else do that. And guess what? They do it faster and better. And when I look at it, hey, can you make this tweak, that tweak? And they do it. And it takes me 0 time, except for what I said, hey, can you do this and that? And they're doing a wonderful job. And guess what? They can use all the AI tools.
Exactly.
Make their job more efficient.
And I'm sure you've heard this with your clients. It's so often I hear, like, I can promote someone else's product or business. It's so hard for me to promote my own. There's this psychological hang up. And so that doesn't exist when you delegate. The assistant doesn't carry all the bias of, this needs to work because I built it and poured my heart into it. And so often they are just freer to promote, and it does come more naturally to them. But, and to your point about not wanting to work with AI and working with the human, like, at least for now, that it's incredible what it can do. It still needs to be fed, like the prompts, to keep it going and to keep it moving. And when you truly train a human, and maybe this is what's coming down the road, but when you do train a human with that level, that foundation of knowledge, you can have such a hands-off approach. We've gotten so many clients to the point of a monthly check-in once a month, and otherwise their assistant is good to go. And because they've been equipped with all the tools that they need and the level of decision-making they're allowed to make, which comes with trust. So as every single task is actually a decision, from the micro to the macro. So the micro task of, where do I put this email, is a little tiny decision. The macro task of how to close the sale is a big decision. And so as the trust with your assistant grows, you can also instill in them that decision-making power, which is actually the magic.
No, I love that. And I think when you are building that trust and you give people, you empower them more and more, they actually show up better and better. So it's a win-win for everybody. It's a win-win-win because your clients and customers win, the assistant wins, and then you win as well. And it's really about developing people, making them better, because that's what we're all here to do, right? Our business is somehow making someone's life better.
It is a win-win-win. Absolutely. And we have a guideline in our business: don't bring any problem without a proposed solution. And it's deceivingly simple, but incredibly powerful, because then you as the client, often you only have to say, yep, do it. And it's again, freeing your mental load and your workload. They're not putting it back on your plate saying, I've identified this problem. Now what do I do? So I've identified this problem and I can do A, B, or C. What would you prefer?
I love that. That's amazing. So tell me a little bit about what your business does exactly. So somebody says, hey, I need an assistant. And then tell me a little bit about that process.
So usually they're business owners who have reached the point of sick of it all falling on me and these packed busy days. Like you were saying, I'm sick of wearing all the hats. I've reached the point where I can buy back a little bit of my time. We scale with clients, so you can add on as little or as many hours as you want. And then we have a very both proprietary hiring and vetting process. And that's how you get that real 1% of talent, and really trusted talent that goes through 10 plus steps before they're ever assigned a client with us. And then also proprietary matching process. So we're matching for everything: industry, time zone, personality, check-in times, skill sets. So you're getting a really dedicated match. And we actually do 2 assistants instead of 1. If you decide down the road, I think I'm just going to stick with 1, that's fine. But 90% of our clients stick with 2 because it ensures that there's never a lapse in your service. You also have double the brain power. So you have 2 people finding solutions for you instead of 1. But it just ensures that there's zero turnover. If someone needs a vacation, everything still keeps chugging along. And especially if you have listeners who are solopreneurs, it gives you a team overnight. So for where you might have been feeling isolated in your business and feeling like it's all on you, overnight you get a team, and they're just incredible. I have assistants myself going on 9 years, and a lot of our clients will say I talk to them more than my friends and family, because they do become such an integral part of not just your inbox and your calendar, but so many of the moving pieces of your business.
I love that. And I love what you said was you can start with a little. So I think maybe sometimes people's fear is like, how am I going to afford? But it's really, one, you have to afford. Like, how can you not afford? But also, you don't have to hire someone full time. You don't have to give them 20 hours. You can give them 5. You can give them just a few hours to start relieving that pressure or those things you don't want to do. And then as you're able to focus on your zone of genius and make more money, you can pass more on to the assistant, which I think is brilliant and really the way that we need to think. Because you also said making little tweaks with our time, right? We're in our head, we're like, how in the world am I going to change my whole day? This is going to be crazy. We don't have to change the whole day. We could do little things at a time and build up until the day looks exactly the way that we want.
Exactly. And it's a little bit of a catch-22. We talked about it in tracking our time and energy. It's a little more work up front to free you so much in the future, like disproportionately so. 2 weeks of focus now for years of a benefit. So it's the same when you're hiring or you're delegating. It can feel overwhelming. Like, I'm already so busy now. How am I supposed to also train someone on everything on top of what I'm doing? If you have a good assistant, they'll guide you through the process, so you're not having to ever guess what happens next. But it is a little bit of extra time now for years of freedom.
Yes, that's amazing. Also, that's a great segue into that. You need to have systems and processes to make that a lot easier. Claire, thank you.
Which it's like your assistant can follow along behind you too if you don't have them, and
Exactly.
build them behind the scenes.
100%. One less thing that we have to do. And I think they can build it from a different perspective where we're building it as the owner, we think, but they're building it as because they're actually doing it and they see with their expertise in other businesses what really needs to go in there. If someone is saying, okay, I need to take something off my plate, how do they get a hold of you?
Just inboxdone.com. You can book a call. It'll be either with me or my co-founder, and happy to chat and see if it's a fit and how many or how few hours you need. And then if you do want to try it yourself, you can go to inboxdone.com/playbook. And that's a book we wrote if you want to do it yourself, hire yourself, and then how to train someone to do exactly what we've talked about today. The hidden benefit of working with our agency policy is you don't have to then go through the very often tedious, laborious process of hiring. So you don't have to create the job posting or the application or wade through applications or do interviews or vet. We'll do all of that for you. And then it's unlimited replacements as needed. If anything ever happened, you can always request a new or an additional assistant too. So inboxdone.com and then /playbook if you want to download that resource.
That's amazing. This has been a wonderful conversation and powerful because I think so many entrepreneurs have normalized overwhelm and constant availability, and they don't even realize how much it's costing them mentally, emotionally, financially, and of course, strategically. So thank you again for coming on, sharing your wisdom with us today. Who's ever listening to this episode spoke to you, I want you to ask yourself this question. What would your perfect day actually look like if your business truly supported your life instead of consuming it? And more importantly, what are you still holding on to that no longer belongs on your plate? If this episode encourages you, challenges you, or makes you rethink how you need to be operating your business, make sure to share it with another entrepreneur who needs to hear it. Follow Claire, go to her website, visit her, check it out. And always remember, you can build a successful business without sacrificing your peace, your family, your health, or yourself in the process. Until next time, this podcast is dedicated to you and all the incredible women out there breaking chains, pushing through, and striving to make it all work. Your support truly means the world to me. Could you do me a favor? Be a gem and leave a review. It will help us reach even more women, making a bigger impact. Your feedback is invaluable, and I would genuinely appreciate it. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe, ensuring you never miss an episode. Until next week, live a purposeful life in both your business and your finance.